Well, the hits just keep on hitting, according to court documents that are out now. Last week we learned that prosecutors will be, on the 17th, will be deeming Ron Jeremy not fit for trial due to dementia. And now we have another trial that was set to go. That is getting another delay after countless delays. But before we start, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for being right here watching our programming here on Q2Cast TV and Man with the show. We really do appreciate it. 2023 is going to be a weird year since there are new YouTube regulations. If you're watching this on YouTube, that literally we weren't told about. In fact, I just got my first video age restricted and still asking questions why it was when it didn't really violate any rules on YouTube. But let's get into this and hope we don't get age restricted for this one. Mercedes Carrera, we've been watching the what's been going on with this case. It has been delayed for well over 2 years. I think we're going into the third year on this. And what has happened, we were supposed to start the time this video aired up, the case was supposed to have already been well underway, but now we're getting another delay, and it's very confusing to the situation. But let's read this off of XBiz. Mercedes Carrera trial postponed at the last minute. The criminal trial of Mercedes Carrera and her husband on multiple child sex abuse charges, which was due to start last week after years of delays, was postponed the last minute after a hearing on the Friday past. The new date schedule is January 17th, but sources close to the case confirmed to XBiz that it will likely be postponed again. The last hearing for the case was held on September 30th, 2022, when October 3rd was the date they had set to the beginning of the jury trial was vacated and the clock postponed until this past week. Carrera and her husband, Jason Whitney, were arrested after a police raid on the Rancho Cucamonga home on February 1st, 2019. By the time they go to trial, they would have been in county jail awaiting trial for almost 4 years. Held initially without bail and later after they have liquidated their assets and have no source of income due to their incarceration, with bail set at $2 million each. According to documents, a trial readiness hearing was held on Friday, and the parties were made a decision to vacate the January 9th date and postpone the trial. XBiz contacted Carrera's lawyer, a private conflicting board attorney appointed by the public defender office, who declined to comment. Now, the thing is, and I still have a lot of questions on this case. I really, truly do. And, until we see the facts, until we see the evidence to the situation, to make a sizable judgment to what is going on. And the thing about it is, you have to be careful of that fine line of what's going on, because a lot of times there's a lot of things hidden between the lines that, it could be that situation, and what you're seeing now could be a lie. And the reason we say this is that there is a child custody case in between this of Mercedes Carrera's former husband or baby daddy's father, however you want to put that. And there's been always a lot of situations within that whole thing that has been criticism on her trade and what she's done. And the thing about it is, we hear that it's child abuse case, but we're not hearing how many children have been abused to the situation. We hear a fictitious number that's been thrown around the media, but we haven't heard from the families. If there are multiple children to this situation, why haven't we heard from the families of this situation? Because you normally hear it loudly that that this should be prosecuted and this and that, but it's been very quiet on that end. And supposedly it was her own, I think, daughter, if I'm not mistaken, daughter that was also involved in this, and we're still not hearing any, like I said, any of the facts and evidence. Now, Mercedes could be guilty as hell. We don't know that. Or she could be innocent. We need a trial to figure out this whole situation. And, and I said this before, this is porn on trial. Because you notice the couple of cases that come up, the Ron Jeremy situation, this, MindGeek, and a couple of other situations that are going on as we speak. Now, on certain ways, we hear certain people that are behind this, that they've been pumping money against the porn industry. And, I mean, is this what's going on? Is this just an attempt to try to stop certain actors, actresses from working in the industry, to try to bolster them out of the industry? Now, Mercedes Carrera was a popular adult actress in the industry itself. A lot of videos. There's still a lot of her videos online on Xvideo and Mine and Pornhub and many other places out there. She's done a lot of movies, and you see, she's not making money anymore because of this whole situation. It's literally broke. But this whole thing, has any case lasted this long where people have been held this long in jail where they can't afford? I mean, she's using a public defender. Why hasn't there been a push for a reduction of the bail? I mean, I've heard reduction of bail on people that have murdered people, on the other side, and drug lords and drug dealers and many other people, criminals that are just basically that should be in jail for like freaking 100 years, and they've gotten reduction in their bail. You say, well, what about homes and stuff like that? They've sold everything they can possible just to keep themselves afloat. You have to put that in the perspective of this whole situation. So now we have to see what's going to go on. This is probably going to go on through February, March, April again. It's most likely. It'll probably be by mid-year before this case, if it gets off the ground. Like I said, facts, evidence, we need to see that. We can't make any judgment. Because I'll tell you, if XBiz and a couple of other outlets have talked about this, but no, I mean, even local, it's been very quiet, as far as the allegations. We just hear the basis of the allegations, and that's it. We don't know nothing above that. We hear other allegations. We hear a crap load of the situations, like the Ron Jeremy one. We know it's, over 30? We know this and that, and, all that situations on there. And yet this case, all we hear is just this one issue, this one specific they did, Well, we'll see in the end what happens, and we'll move on to that. And we got another video coming up. Another case has also been postponed, and we'll get that in the next video. Comment below. Tell me your thoughts, feelings. Tell me, hey, listen, without the facts and evidence, what judgment can you make at this point? Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.